If you've ever tried to look up the script for your favorite movie to figure out how they wrote it, chances are you'll have found the formatting to be a little odd. That's because most of the scripts that you find online for movies that have already been made are actually shooting scripts and not in the spec script formatting, which is what you're supposed to be writing in. So what's the difference between a shooting script and a spec script? That is what we'll cover in this video.
So a spec script just stands for speculation. That means that the script is written without it having been agreed upon to be bought. So it is, I'm writing it on spec, I'm writing it on speculation, I'm writing it in the hopes that someone will buy it and make it, rather than someone has paid me to do this. And so that's why it's called a spec script. The other main difference between that and the shooting script is the producers have already picked the crew, they've already picked the director and the cinematographer, and then they go through the script and they make a bunch of changes based on the way that they want to film it, the way they envision it. And so that's why a shooting script will have scene numbers, it'll have camera angles, and it'll have a lot of technical notes that you won't see in a spec script. That's why you have like continued up here, because in a shooting script it always says continued at the top and continued at the bottom, especially if it's continuing the same scene from the previous page, whereas in a spec script you don't have that because it's clear that you're just reading one long script. You can see a lot of words in here that are seemingly random, are all in caps, like Mark's face goes white. This doesn't have any real narrative reason to be in here. This is just to emphasize, probably to different department heads, that this is important or that this needs to be a specific shot. You also have a lot of things in here that are in italics. It's almost like his running internal monologue. It's out. Come on, Mark. Finally. You know, things like that, where you're not going to see that very often in a spec script, and you want to avoid doing that. Another thing that you see in a shooting script more often is going to be this we thing. We is normally kind of a second-person proxy for I, the narrator, and you, the reader, as audience members experience this. We slowly angle in on Mark, so that implies not just a camera angle, but also a camera movement. Angle in on Mark. We settle into a close-up. We see, like all of this type of stuff you see in a shooting script, but you do not want to do in a spec script if you can avoid it, because there's ways to write things in a certain manner that can kind of hint at these type of things, and that's what we'll cover in some of the later modules. Also, these like things like titles and a lot of transitions. Those are also something that are going to be in shooting scripts that aren't in spec scripts. Let's look at another shooting script. Here's one from Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. And you can see it's just chock full of camera angles and things in caps, like Gandalf is all in caps, and then again, and then again, and then again. Whereas normally, and we'll talk about this more later, a lot of the things I'm going to mention be like, if you're afraid, oh wait, I want to hear more about that. Wait, he didn't talk about that. Don't worry, we're gonna get into all of that. I'm just trying to point out some of the differences for you to keep in mind. When you introduce a character for the first time in a script, their name is capitalized. But then after that, you don't capitalize it. But we have Gandalf almost, every time Gandalf is mentioned, his name is capitalized. Well, that's because it's a shooting script, and everybody has to make sure that they know, oh yeah, Gandalf's in this scene, and he's in these shots, and he's doing this. We have angle on, crane up, close on. We even have horse in all caps. It's like, well, that doesn't need to be in caps. Unless it's a shooting script, in which case you want to make sure that the different department heads that need to know about, oh yeah, there's a horse, and we need a wrangler, and we got to have someone to take care of the horse. So that's the difference between the shooting script. And the reason why that's in here is not just because the crew has kind of figured out the way that they want to do this, and so that it'll stick out to them, but it is also because this is meant to be created rather than experienced. And that's why you would not want to have all of these things in a spec script, because a spec script is supposed to be experienced and it's supposed to be skimmable, all those things that I said earlier. And if you have all of these things in caps everywhere and all these camera angles, it's very cluttered and it's hard to read it. So that's the difference between a spec script and a shooting script.
If this video has helped you become a better screenwriter and storyteller, then I encourage you to check out my comprehensive online course called Master Screenplay Format. It'll teach you everything from the basics through intermediate all the way to advanced techniques so that you can use grammar and wordsmithing along with proper formatting to become an excellent screenwriter. And if you'd like to learn more before you buy the course, then I've also got a link in the description for a free masterclass on how to write with invisible camera angles, so that you can have something you can use immediately to apply to your writing and also get a preview for the type of knowledge that we'll cover in the course. Thank you, and I hope to see you in Master Screenplay format.